seen that video on Instagram that talks about Zoom meetings,
It's all over the place.
2021 and 2022, and the Zoom 2021 or 2020, the person would be like, "Hey, I hear a lot of background noise. Can you please like mute yourself?" And then 2021 is like, "Hey, mute yourself." And then 2022 is like, "Delete."
Yes, by now we've hopefully would have picked up on that. Yeah, good point, Nazar. On there. I just go. I don't know if you guys know, but I have the ability to put you on mute. So if I hear that now, I'll go in and I'll mute people without even asking anymore. So yeah, I guess my patience have gotten a little shorter with that. Thanks, Nazar. What I would share with you, Heather, is there's some major changes going on in the real estate industry. Rochelle, did you get that email yesterday? Yes. Okay, good. So I just want to compliment Rochelle real quick here. Rochelle needed some help. She needed some scripting. She needed some text ideas, some verbal scripting ideas. So she reached out to me. And what do? I sent Rochelle some stuff I thought will help her a lot over the weekend. So don't be a stranger. I'm here to help you guys anytime, any day we can. So with that being said, let me share with you, or does anyone know? Jenny, do you know of a company called rexhomes.com?
I heard of them, but I don't know anything about them though.
Does
Yeah.
anyone know their model on today's call? What is, no. Oh, you're gonna be double surprised. Then. Okay, I thought I only had one surprise for you. I have two surprises. So first I'll give you their model, then I'll give you the change in their model, Brian. So here's their model, guys, is they are anti-establishment. What does that mean, though? They think you charge way too much to your clients and you should work for a lot less money is what they think. So they created a model a number of years ago, Zoe, where you can go and they will list your home for 2%. And what did they offer the cooperating broker, the buyer's agent, Jenny? 0%. And then they've been doing this for years, right? Not a big deal. You guys haven't heard about them. You know why? Because most MLSs had this cooperation rule where if you put a house on the MLS, you got to have this fair cooperation, to the selling broker. That's all going away. As a matter of fact, there's a new rule that says you cannot discriminate against what listings you show in the MLS based on that cooperation on there. Whether it says $1 or $1 million or 1% or 10% or 3%, right? Yeah, Brian. Yes, that's what I'm talking about, Brian. Exactly. So they were not in any MLSs, guys, up until last September. So I did some research for you guys. And guess what? Since September, Brian, they're in 31 states already, soon to be in all 50. And when someone from Inman interviewed them, Brian, they said, can we ask you a question? Now that you've joined all these MLSs, do you plan on listing homes and putting them out at extremely low buyer cooperating compensation? They said, hell yeah, that's what we do. You guys charge too much. So like Brian, if you guys saw Brian's little chat message there, Brian, all last week, I've been asking in Texas, in Florida, in Nevada, in New York, are you seeing any very low commissions? And yes, everywhere. 0.5 point in Miami, 0 in Texas, 0 in Nevada, 0 in New York, $1 here, $1 there. It's happening very fast. So here's what they're trying to force to happen, Brian. They want to bifurcate the commission because, and rightfully so, does it seem a little wonky, Brian, that the seller is paying for the buyer's representation, the buyer's agent's fee? So they said, you know what? Boom, let's split it. Listing agents will get paid by sellers. And how will buyer's agents get paid? By buyers directly. So what does that mean you guys are going to have to do that you never did before, Rochelle? Is you're going to have to prove value. You're going to have to prove to that buyer that they're going to get a better outcome, a better experience, whatever. And they will have to sign a contract with you. Otherwise, Brian, what do you do if you will lose your license? If a buyer showed you a couple $1 listings, you say, oh, sorry, I'm not showing you those. They're too cheap. That's illegal right now. You will be out of real estate real quickly. That's discrimination. You can't do it anymore. So we've got to be able to set our own fees just like we do on the list side. So I got some good news for you. I'm going to give you, if I tell you exactly what the buyers think is most important, then you could adapt your scripting, Heather, to talk about these topics, and you'll be right on point. So get a pen and paper. I'm going to give you the 6 most important things to your buyers and sellers, for that matter, from a survey done by Google. So then you could focus on the most important ones, Ryan. So number 6 is brand. So the brand we work at is least important. Again, this is top 6. Above brand, I'll give you the names, then I'll give you the actual percentages so you put it in perspective. Number 2 is responsiveness. How quickly are you getting back to your people? As you know, we're in the now economy. This is why it's in the top 6. It better be pretty quick. Next are those reviews, right? We've been talking about reviews here for a number of years and how important they are on Google and other platforms. Next is your ability to negotiate, Lisa. Are you a good negotiator, and can you prove that? You're going to have to moving forward if you want to work with a buyer, I will tell you. Next is your experience or the experience of the team leader. Experience is next. And you guys probably won't be surprised. I was giving you really good information on previous calls, because number 1 on the list is what? Trust. Trust, trust, trust. Lisa, do you see on the list there anywhere, does it say, set me up on a drip campaign, or send me some properties? Hit the mute button there, Lisa.
Sorry.
No.
I'm sorry. No, not at all.
No, so not that you guys shouldn't do that, but the reason I kind of said that sarcastically, Lisa, is when I ask agents all the time, what value you're providing the buyer, you know what they always come out with? Usually the first thing, oh, I'm sending them properties. Now you should still do that. But my point is telling you, in the eyes of the buyer, or the seller for that matter, that's not even in the top 6. So good activity, yes, set them up on a drip campaign, e-alerts, right? All of that stuff. But you have to focus on what, Lisa? Trust, experience, and negotiation. That's what's most important to them, the top 3. Here are the numbers. Zoe, we'll start with you. This is always, everyone's always surprised when I do this, because they see these numbers are a lot different than they thought. So start from the bottom, Zoe. I told you brand was the least important out of 100 percentage points. How low do you think it is?
I would say your brand probably equates to maybe 15%.
Only 2.5. I'd say it's really low. You know why, Zoe? Truly, who is that buyer or seller working with? Who's getting them the great deal, or helping them find the right house? Zoe, it's you. You're the one. You're the guy. So that's what they care about. They care a lot more about you as the agent than the actual shingle on the roof of the building that they're working with on there. Because truly, the brand doesn't create the outcome, the agent does. So that makes sense to me, actually. So 2.5 there. Jenny, work fast. So how important do you think that is, your responsiveness?
Very important.
All right, but out of 100%, now I'll give you a hint. I told you these numbers are going to surprise you. So it's more than 2.5% because it's 5th on the list. And I told you we're doing this inverted. How much more?
I guess 90%.
No, only 8.4.
What?
Oh, you're going to find out in a while. Yeah. So what is that? That's 300% more, Jenny. That's a lot. We went from 2.5 to 8.4. So, but you'll learn why it's, my guess is you think it's kind of low. There is a reason why. Just pay attention. We'll keep going. Who else we got here? Shauna. Let's go talk about those reviews. How important are the reviews?
Reviews, I'd say maybe 30%.
11.8.
Oh,
So, yep. So we're moving up the ladder, but still relatively small on there. Let's go with who's got some good Crystal. Talk to me about our ability to negotiate. That's next on the list. So we know it's going to be higher than 11.8. How high?
25.
only 13.2. Yes. Okay, good, good, good. And then we'll go with, who else can I see on my screen? Yeah, Ryan, give me experience.
18%.
Close, 15. So here's why those numbers appear to be low to you guys. It's the importance of trust. If you guys, anyone's quick with math, you'll realize that we added up 51 points. So that leaves trust at the top of the list at 49% of the equation. If you cannot develop trust, you should probably start looking for another job soon, because that is super important. And that's what makes the other numbers, guys, Crystal, right, Lisa, appear to be lower. It's not that they're low, it's that when trust takes up 50% of all the numbers, you've got to divide up all the other, 51% between the 5 numbers. So we got to focus on experience and negotiate. So let's talk about experience first, but I want to talk about it in a little bit of a different light, Lisa. I want to talk about experience / knowledge. I will tell you that one of the ways you're going to develop trust, Lisa, is if you are smarter than your clients and you can prove it to them. So Lisa, what are some ways that you can stay ahead of your clients as far as knowledge goes? Responsiveness was 8.4. So Lisa, and I'll tell you, I do this.
Just, I know the data.
Yeah, but be specific. We have some new agents on the call, right? Maybe they don't know. Say today's their first, hit the mute button. Hit your mute button. Right, so be specific. So a new agent just joined the team this week. What would you tell them on how they should educate themselves day in and day out? If you got a sticky mute button there, it keeps turning on.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
So one of the first things would be to know the activity, how quickly homes are sitting on the market before they get under contract.
Great. So that, I'm going to call that just the hot sheet. If you're new to the real estate game, you've got to read the hot sheet every day. Lisa, you have to know every property that came to the market yesterday, went under contract, closed, what it closed for, and right, how long they're sitting on the market, days on market, all of that good stuff. You have to know that, because Lisa, a buyer calls you today and asks you about that new listing that came up on the market yesterday, and you're not aware of it. You think they're going to work with you? You think they're ever going to sign a contract with you? Never. I would tell you, never. So that's one, hot sheets. What else do you have, Lisa? What else is going to keep you? Because here's the challenge you guys all face. Your clients have a really smart partner helping them. The partner's name is Google. There's a lot of information out there. You still have to come to the table, Lisa, with more information than they can find on Google. Where do you think I find some of that?
The MLS are dependable and reliable information that comes straight from the, our realist tax based on what the county,
Okay.
the county knows what property tax the new owner's paying because of how much they paid for the home.
So all that stuff. So there's a tax, local information about tax rates, right? And how it affects the homeowners on there. Good. I'll give you another one. You guys should be reading something called Inman News. This is an industry paper that tells you every week what's happening in our industry, some of the changes. This whole story about Rex Homes, I'm not that smart, guys. No, I read it in Inman News last week. That's how I know they're in 31 states and what they're doing. And I know what their quote was because I read Inman News. Next, Housing Wire is another good one. So Housing Wire focuses a slant a little more on the mortgage industry, but super important, obviously, with all the stuff that's going on out there. Next one, KCM, Keeping Current Matters, right? Every month they come up with a whole bunch of slides that let you know what's happening with interest rates, markets, trends, and all that other good stuff. So anyway, those are 3 or 4 quick ones, Lisa, that I'm not even selling real estate anymore. I just coach, but I read them every day, every morning. Why? If you're in an industry, you got to have your finger on the pulse more so than your clients. So you got to know the data about real estate. I'll give you another big topic too, just a side note, because I'm working on a couple different areas about this. what are the rules about short-term rentals in your marketplace? That they're changing a lot in San Diego, certain areas of Texas, I know, right? Are you an expert? If someone wanted to buy a property from you and do a B&B, do you understand what your local rules are? Is there any chance of those changing locally? Because they are in a lot of other areas. Next, 1031 exchanges, right? Do you know how to talk intelligently, or do you have the resource to at least get them in touch with someone if they wanted to roll a property into one of those? Right? These are things, if you're a newer agent, and not to overwhelm you, but these are little things over time you need to add to your knowledge base. So the client says, wow, Lisa, you seem to know everything about this area, whether it's a short-term rental, a 1031 exchange, what the tax rates are. You seem to know every property, and you kind of know what some of the changes are going to happen in real estate. Easy peasy. I will work with you. Again, hit the mute button there. You hit it.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so one of the things that I like to tell my clients, whether they're sellers or buyers, is that I like to find out exactly like how the homes were purchased. In other words, the MLS will tell us when the sale closes, if the buyer was financed FHA, or if the buyer, was financed conventional or even paid cash. So a lot of times I like to be able to have a awareness of, who's buying the homes. If it's a mix.
Let me just interrupt you, because I want to interrupt you because Andy C, some of you guys know Andy C, a top broker up in the Silicon Valley area. So he talked about this, Nazar, if you heard it, where they hired he had some kids that used to help him with flyers and stuff. And they went to college and they got pretty smart. So what did they do, Lisa? They started analyzing their market. And what did they find out through this checking? They learned when Apple stock in their market, because they're up in Cupertino in that area, when Apple stock goes up, Nazar, they always have a surge of buyers that come into the market. When Apple stock goes down, they always have a sell-off, because their market is very predicated on what Apple does and how well Apple's company is doing. When they're growing, expanding, and giving raises and bonuses, his market always goes up so very quickly. When Apple is struggling and their stock is down, maybe there's some bad press in the news, their market always is depressed. It comes down a little bit on there. So yeah, like Lisa was saying, know your market. What affects your market on there? So let's go to the negotiation one. There's a couple of very specific data points you guys should start to learn about, know about, and see how you can use them to your advantage on there. So who's got one? So in regards to negotiating, what's a specific data point that you might use to prove to a buyer, Maggie? Am I saying that right, Maggie? Yes? I can't tell what all the...
Yes.
Yes? Okay, so Maggie, we're talking about a buyer specifically here. What's a data point? What type of data can I use to prove to you that I'm going to get you a better result potentially than some of the other agents in the marketplace, Maggie?
Um,
You need some help? I can help you.
yeah.
Yes? Okay. Maggie, all the homes in the MLS last year, they sold at some kind of relationship from list price to sale price. I happen to know the data point in the town where I live right here in Henderson. That number was 104%. So out of all the homes that were listed last year, Maggie, the average buyer paid 100%, 104%. So 4% over what the seller was asking. The team that I coach here in Henderson, Maggie, they looked at all their buyer deals last year. Their average buyer paid 99% of list price. So what am I telling you, Maggie, as a buyer? How much money can you potentially save if you work with this team?
How much money to save this team?
If you work with them, because the average buyer was paying 104% of list price to sale price. Their buyers only paid 99% of list price to sale price. So what are they telling their buyers? If you work with us, we potentially will save you up to how much money? 5%. Maggie, you seem a little lost.
I don't know how to tell. Cannot save the money for buyer because now the when they do the offer, always higher and than the listing
Yeah,
price.
Maggie, I'm just giving you numbers for a different city because I don't know your city's numbers. So your city might be at 102%, right, for your deals, and every other buyer is paying 108%, right? You're still saving your buyer 6%. They're still getting a much better deal working with you because you're still saving them a lot. They're paying a lot less than if they pay the other agents 108% of list. So my point is you got to just figure out your numbers. You can use the team numbers, your local numbers, your specific numbers. I don't know if you're better, but that's one number I was telling you guys can look at to prove why someone should sign a contract and pay you a fee. Okay, let me give you a second one. So second one, who by a show of hands, you could maybe just hold up your fingers. Do you know how many offers the average buyer it took to procure a home last year? No idea? Not that many, Rochelle. 4, somewhere between 4 and maybe 5, depending on what market you're in. So Rochelle, I'll go back to the same team that had this 104 to 99% ratio, because I happen to know, because we're working on this very feverishly here. So next one was number of offers it took, Rochelle, to get an offer accepted. So nationally, 4 to 5. The team here in Henderson, 1.8. So if you work with them, Rochelle, as a buyer, they're going to get your offer accepted either the first time or the second time in almost every case, where it takes every other buyer 4 to 5 tries. But what I've learned, Rochelle, you can't stop there because it's the same reason why we stage homes. Rochelle, why do we stage a home? Why do we put the couch here and the pretty whatever decorations there?
Well, it gets the buyer to understand how, they could put their furniture and put their mark on a particular house. They get to see the bones of the house and how it lays out.
So exactly. So if I tell the buyer, Rochelle, I'm gonna get your offer accepted the first or second try, not the 4th or 5th, they may not know exactly how that benefits them. So I want to spell it out, just like when we stage a home, okay? So Rochelle, what do you think if I was your buyer? What are some of the benefits? Let's say those are your stats. You guys will have to check your stats. Hopefully you have some similar ones. What's an advantage of that to me, Rochelle? Why would I even care if you get my offer accepted in the 1st or 2nd try versus the 4th or 5th?
Well, I mean, the house, if it's, if you're working with an agent that can do that, that means that they, know the inventory, they know, basically, the numbers, they know what to, price a house or list a house or put an offer in on a house for, because they,
Right.
they know that timing and they know those numbers. So
Can you see
they have expertise on it.
Yeah, can you see the chat window there? Open up your chat. Brian's feeding you some good nuggets there. So one thing that Brian's suggesting here, and rightfully so, Rochelle, is one of the huge advantages of getting your home offer accepted sooner is that every buyer, Rochelle, is facing 3 adversities that could cause them to this house to be more expensive for them. Rochelle, what are the So if you don't get their offer accepted this week, we have to go back out next week. That week or 2 could cause these 3 things, could cause the consumer to have to pay more money. Rochelle, what are the 3 things?
Well, the interest rates, I guess.
Interest rates are starting to go up. So yeah, higher interest rates means higher mortgage payment, number 1. What else is going up, Rochelle?
The home prices.
Yeah, supply and demand. Home prices are going up crazy. Last 2 years have been like the craziest years we've seen in like forever. And the third one, Rochelle, most people, very few have gotten. I've gotten like 1 agent. What's the third battle that your buyer is facing that's causing them to
more buyers coming into the market?
No. Let me give it to you. Very, very few get this one. It's inflation. So we're in an inflationary period, Rochelle. So what that means, their down payment money, their deposit money is actually shrinking every day. It sits in their bank. Everything they need to buy this week is going to cost them more than it did last week. So their actual cash is shrinking, not growing At the same time, they're trying to find a more expensive house and maybe a higher interest payment. So every day and every week you guys can get them in sooner, it's saving them a lot of money, Maggie, a lot. So that's number one. Let me give you the other answers on here. So first is that you're going to save them a lot of money. Number two, Rochelle, is most would agree that the home buying process is a big distraction, I'm sorry, to their life, right? They're busy with work, kids, family, sports, and now they got to go out house hunting and they got to try to figure out when they get into homes. So you make their life a lot less inconvenient by getting it done sooner, which what creates a better experience for them. Rochelle, you know what also happens naturally is what house did I call on the first time I called you on? The one I absolutely loved. Like, oh my God, Rochelle, we just saw this house. We got to go see it, right? And if it doesn't work out, I go back to the drawing board and I look again, Rochelle. And if that second one doesn't work out, you know what I start doing on the third, fourth, and maybe fifth home? Settling, right? I'm so desperate, I keep losing. So I might be looking at houses that need more work or maybe didn't have all the options as the first two, but I'm so desperate. I just want a house, Rochelle. And I might wind up having to buy one of those. So if you get my offer accepted earlier on, Rochelle, I have to do a lot less settling. For the newer agents on the call, Rochelle, can you share with them, if you know, what are the three things you have to advise your buyer as options if they can't seem to win in this little neighborhood they're trying to buy in? There's three options, again, you can give the buyer to help them win a bidding war. What are they, Rochelle?
Well, they want to win in a bidding war. They have to, offer above asking
Okay,
price.
so can they find more money? I'm going to say here, right? So your buyer is losing once or twice. So next question is, hey, can you find more money? I'll give you two good options. A lot of times I've had plenty of buyers, Rochelle, take a loan against their 401k, right? Because it doesn't cost them any money. They
Right.
pay them back some interest, and then they could have a much stronger offer potentially, or maybe a little higher price point. If you guys don't know, if your buyer can move up a price point, tend to be a little less competitive every price point you go up. So that could be a good option on there. Number two, if you guys don't know, 10% of all the down payment money for first-time home buyers, Rochelle, you know where it came from last year?
From family.
Crypto.
Oh, wow.
Maybe they have some digital currency they could cash out on it. That's becoming a thing on there as well. On there. So now we can get more money, Rochelle. Number two, are they willing to maybe do a little more work, like settle maybe not on move-in condition, something that maybe needs a little more work on there? Or number three, would they consider other areas?
Right.
So again, Rochelle, if your buyer keeps losing here and here, you may want to suggest one of these three. Why? After about the third try, you know whose fault they're going to think it is? The market or yours?
My.
Yeah, you know why? Because number three on our list was negotiation skills, and they're going to think yours aren't so good. And that survey I gave you earlier, exactly right on there. Let me give you one more script for experience. I've used this script on every buyer and every seller appointment I've gone on in almost my whole career, guys. Why? Because it works really, really well. So what I'm going to show you guys, Maggie, is a picture of Long Island here. See Long Island? It looks just like Long Island, right? Not really, but you can imagine. And on the map, what do, Brian? I put a lot of dots. Brian, what do the dots represent?
Homes.
Homes that we have helped either a buyer procure or a seller sell. And here comes the script. You ready? This is being recorded because I don't know how to say it any slower. So Brian, if you email me, you can take the transcript and just copy the script. So here it goes. So I'm at Brian's kitchen table. We could be doing a buyer consult or a listing presentation. I say, hey, Brian, can I show you this map here? You know, each of these maps, Brian, I'm sorry, each of these dots, Brian, on the map represents a family that we were able to serve last year. Brian, I don't show you this map to impress you. I show you this map to impress upon you. There's nothing that's going to happen in your transaction that either myself or another team member has not handled dozens of times before. Why does this work so well, Brian? Because it addresses the elephant in the room that very few agents talk about. Your client has a lot of uncertainty in their life as they're trying to move forward and buy or sell a home. So what does this little script do for them, Brian? It creates certainty that no matter what happens, whatever troubles, potholes, or little speed bumps will come along, we have sold so many homes here. We know how to handle everything. We have you in good standing on that.
Awesome.
All right, I'll give you one more thing to consider, because one of these stats has doubled in the last year. I'm not sure if you even know about this one, Nazar. So when offers are submitted, guys, to the listing agent, Heather, 7% of them normally fall out, right? They have to go to the backup offer or put the house back on the market, if they don't have a multiple offer situation. What I want to share with you is that number has doubled in the last year to nearly 14, 15%. Why is that important for you guys to know? Is don't give up on that house necessarily, even if you were a backup offer, because that offer nearly 15% of the time is going to fall out. Heather, do you know why?
Something comes up with their loan
No,
or they can't get approved at the end.
no. It's how their brain is wired. A lot of sales guys, you can learn the psychology. It's how their brain is wired. Heather, put yourself in my shoes. I took you out, you lost a bidding war today. Take you out tomorrow, you lost another bidding war. I take you out to some more houses this weekend. How do you think you're going to bid on this weekend's homes versus the way you bid on the first two? What is your agent going to tell you to do? How are you going to bid differently?
More aggressively, right?
Yeah, more aggressively. And when you see the third, fourth house, Heather, your brain's going to say, oh my God, I love it. It's gorgeous. We need this one. We can't afford to lose again. So I'm just going to give this seller a crazy number. And this way we'll be sure we win the house. And what you did right here, Heather, is you created an emotional response to the home. What's going to happen to your brain over the next 24 to 48 hours, Heather? It's going to go from emotional slowly to logical. You know what your logical brain thinks about this crazy offer? You're insane. How much money did you offer for that house? In what town? What's our mortgage payment going to be? How much more money do we need to put down? And you know what this is called right here, Heather? Buyer's remorse. You've heard that term before? That's what happens, and they pull the plug 15% of the time on the deal right now. Now, Heather, you might have been right. There might have been some of the other stuff too in there with them financing and this issue or that issue and interest rates going up. But the main proponent is they get so excited, they make an emotional offer, then they pull it back. So keep that in mind. If your buyer really loved that house you bid on, a couple of days ago, Heather, this is why I don't know if you guys are familiar with a product called High Note. I'm a big fan of this product. So High Note is a presentation tool if you guys want to check it out. What does that allow you to do, Heather? You can upload all of your information, your contracts, give information about whatever. Then you send it over in a nice little pretty software format. So the listing agent says, wow, Heather, your information looks so much more professional and up to date compared to the other agents. But you know what the better reason to use that tool is? It will ping you every time someone looks at that offer and which pages they look at. So Heather, you submit an offer today, offer gets rejected. All of a sudden you notice 3 or 4 days from now, someone's looking at that offer on High Note, the listing agent. What do, Heather?
You call the listing, or if you're the agent, right, you call them to see.
Hey, I was just curious, I'm working with this buyer and I know you had a good deal on there. I just was checking to see if the deal is still solid. And what does the listing agent say? Oh my gosh, Heather, it's so funny you just called. We were just starting to look at offers again. That deal fell apart. And while I have you on the phone, if your buyer's interested, we'll just submit that offer and then boom, you can easily slide right back in with that tool. So I'm a big fan of that. If you guys have a few dollars and you want to use a really good software tool that will make you look very professional and give you some insights when the offer has been reviewed or not. Because then that eliminates too, Heather, that question that you send the offer over and you hope that they reviewed it already or they looked at it. Now you're going to know for a fact. And you'll know if they're lying to you as well, right? Which could be interesting. So anyway, any questions on the topic? A lot of good nuggets today that I need you guys to implement. Thanks, Brian, for all the help with the questions and the High Note. It just helps the call move forward. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right. So actually here too, if you guys want to do a screenshot, I see Robert, if you want to do a screenshot. This is the where the survey came from. It's all Google stats. You guys can take those. That's where I grabbed them from. I didn't make them up. and then you'll have those there. All right, you got some good stuff. Work on this. Keep an eye on that selling broker commission because it's about to shrink, and work on ways to provide value to a buyer that they'd be willing to sign a contract. If we have to get to that point, I think we will. So, all good, guys. All right. Thanks for everything. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
So long, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.